My 30M girlfriend, 27F of 2 years, went on spring break with her friends, and I accidentally overheard something that made me end it. Now she's claiming she's pregnant and it's mine. I'm still processing all this and honestly don't know where else to turn. My friends think I'm being too harsh, but I can't shake what I heard. So my girlfriend Sienna and I have been together for almost 2 years. Things weren't perfect, but I thought we were solid. She's always been the type who loves attention and has this need to be the center of everything, but I chalked it up to confidence. Maybe I should have paid more attention to the red flags. 3 weeks ago, she went on spring break to Cancun with her 2 best friends Harper and Leela. I wasn't invited, which stung a bit, but she said it was a girls' trip and they'd been planning it since college. I trusted her completely. We'd even been talking about moving in together when her lease was up in June. She came back last Tuesday, all tanned and posting tons of Instagram stories about the amazing time they had. Normal couple stuff. She showed me pictures, told me about the beaches, complained about sunburn. Everything seemed fine. Then yesterday happened. I had been at her apartment earlier in the day but left around 3 p.m. to run some errands. Around 6 p.m., I realized I'd forgotten my work laptop at her place, so I headed back to grab it real quick. I have keys to her apartment, so I let myself in. Her car was there, but I figured I'd just grab my laptop from her bedroom and text her later. As soon as I walked in, I could hear voices from the living room. Harper and Leela were over and they were clearly in the middle of some conversation. I was about to announce myself when I heard Harper laughing about something. "I still can't believe you hooked up with 3 different guys in 1 week. That has to be a record even for you, Sienna." My blood went cold. I thought maybe I misheard. I froze in the entryway, hidden by the wall. Then Leela chimed in. "The bartender on Monday, that guy from the resort on Wednesday, and then what was Thursday guy's name? Miguel," Sienna's voice clear as day, "Marcus. And honestly, the resort guy was the best. I haven't had anything like that in months." I felt like I was going to throw up. They were talking about this so casually, like it was just some funny story. Harper said something about me, asking if I suspected anything, and Sienna laughed it off, saying I was too trusting, and what happens in Cancun stays in Cancun. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, processing what I was hearing. Then I walked straight into the living room. You should have seen their faces, complete shock, like they'd seen a ghost. Sienna went pale and immediately started stammering, but I just grabbed my laptop from the coffee table where I'd apparently left it. "Lucas, we were just..." "It's not," Sienna started, but I was already walking toward the door. She followed me, grabbing my arm, but I shook her off and kept walking. By the time I got to my car, she was on the front steps still trying to explain, but I couldn't hear anything over the ringing in my ears. She's been blowing up my phone ever since. Hundreds of texts, calls, voicemails. At first it was denial, then anger, then this weird gaslighting where she tried to convince me I misunderstood what I heard. She even had Harper and Leela text me saying I was overreacting and what I heard didn't mean anything. I haven't responded to anything. I'm done. 2 years down the drain because she couldn't keep it in her pants for 1 week. But here's where it gets complicated. This morning she showed up at my work crying, saying she has something important to tell me. Obviously, I refused to engage and call security on her. Security had to escort her out, but not before she screamed, "I'm pregnant and it's yours," in front of half my office. Now I'm sitting here wondering if this is just another manipulation tactic or if she's actually pregnant. We were indeed intimate the night before she left for Cancun, but given what I heard about her week-long hookup spree, I have serious doubts about paternity. My friends are split. Some say I should at least hear her out if she's really pregnant. Others say she's just trying to trap me because she got caught. My sister thinks the whole pregnancy thing is a lie to get me back. Reddit, I don't know what to do. Part of me feels like I should block her everywhere and move on with my life. But what if she really is pregnant? What if it is mine? I keep replaying what I heard over and over. The casual way she talked about cheating on me. The laughter. How they discussed me like I was some joke. I don't think I could ever trust her again, even if she swore it would never happen again. Has anyone been in a situation like this? How do you handle a cheating ex who claims to be pregnant? I'm lost. Edit. Wow, this blew up more than I expected. Thank you everyone for the advice and support. A lot of people are asking about the pregnancy timeline. If she's telling the truth, she'd be about 4 or 5 weeks along based on when we were last intimate. But given her Cancun activities, there are at least 3 other potential fathers. Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since I overheard Sienna talking about her Cancun hookups, and things have gotten so much worse. First off, she is actually pregnant. She sent me a picture of the test, and then had Harper bring me a copy of her first doctor's appointment confirmation. She's about 6 weeks along, which lines up with either our last time together or her spring break adventures. The harassment from her and her friends has been relentless. Constant texts, calls at all hours, showing up at my apartment building. Harper and Leela have been sending me these long messages about how I'm abandoning Sienna when she needs me most, and how I'm being cruel and heartless. It's like they've completely forgotten that she cheated on me with multiple people. But the real nightmare started this week when her family got involved. Tuesday evening, her mom Vivian and older sister Marissa showed up at my door. I made the mistake of letting them in because I thought they were going to apologize for Sienna's behavior or at least acknowledge what she did wrong. Boy, was I wrong. They came in with this whole prepared speech about responsibility and doing what's right. Vivian kept talking about how I needed to step up and be a man, and that, regardless of what happened in Mexico, I have an obligation to this baby. When I pointed out that there were other potential fathers, Marissa actually had the audacity to say, "That doesn't matter because you two were in a committed relationship when this happened." I'm sorry, but what the actual hell? How does being in a committed relationship make me more responsible when my girlfriend was the one who broke that commitment by sleeping around? Then Vivian started crying, talking about how this baby is innocent and deserves a father, and how I can't just throw away 2 years of love over a mistake. She kept calling it a mistake, like Sienna accidentally tripped and fell onto 3 different guys. The whole conversation was insane. They never once acknowledged that Sienna cheated, never once apologized for what she put me through. It was all about what I owed her and this baby that might not even be mine. They stayed for over an hour, and by the end they were basically threatening me. Marissa said that if I don't make this right, they'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man I really am. Vivian mentioned how her ex-husband had to pay child support for 18 years and how the courts always side with the mother. After they left, I felt like I was losing my mind. The gaslighting is unreal. They've somehow made me the villain in this story. But wait, it gets worse. Sienna has been posting on social media about being a single mom and how she's been abandoned by someone she trusted. She's not mentioning the cheating, obviously, but she's painting this picture of herself as this poor, pregnant woman whose boyfriend just up and left her for no reason. The posts are getting tons of sympathy. Comments from people I don't even know calling me a deadbeat and a coward. Some of our mutual friends who don't know the full story have been messaging me asking if it's true that I dumped a pregnant woman. I did explain the whole situation to them, but not everyone chose to believe my side of the story since the pregnancy was real, while I didn't exactly have anything to prove the cheating. I feel like I'm going crazy. How did I become the bad guy here? The worst part is, some of her manipulation is actually getting to me. Last night I lay awake wondering if I am being too harsh. What if the baby is really mine? What if I'm making a huge mistake? But then I remember hearing her laugh about how I was too trusting and how she hadn't had anything like what that Marcus guy gave her in months. I remember the casual way she talked about betraying me, and I know I can't go back to that. I've been thinking about getting a lawyer, but I don't even know what kind of lawyer or what I'd ask them. Do I wait until the baby is born for a paternity test? Can I demand one now? My sister thinks I should just block them all and move on, but with a potential baby involved, I don't think I can just ignore this. At the same time, I refuse to be manipulated into taking responsibility for something that might not even be mine. The pressure is intense. Every day there's a new guilt trip, A new angle, a new way they're trying to wear me down. Yesterday, Sienna texted me an ultrasound photo with the message, "Your baby's first picture." I didn't respond, but man, that messed with my head. How do you guys deal with this kind of psychological warfare? I feel like I'm being attacked from all sides and starting to question my own judgment. Edit. The comments on my original post have been a lifeline. It's good to know I'm not crazy for thinking their behavior is manipulative. Several people have mentioned early paternity testing. I had no idea that was even possible, looking into it now. Update 2. After my last post, the comments convinced me to lawyer up immediately. Best decision I've ever made. I found Mr. Alvarez through a recommendation from a friend whose brother went through a similar situation. He specializes in family law, custody, and paternity issues. The consultation was eye-opening. First thing he told me, never admit paternity or sign anything until you have scientific proof, and get that proof as soon as possible. He explained that in our state, if I wait until after the birth and don't contest paternity within 30 days, I could be legally considered the father regardless of DNA results. Even worse, if Sienna puts my name on the birth certificate and I don't challenge it immediately, I could be on the hook for child support even if the kid isn't mine. That scared the hell out of me. I had no idea the legal system could be so stacked against men in these situations. Mr. Alvarez recommended something called NIPP testing, a non-invasive prenatal paternity test that can be done as early as 8 weeks. It only requires a blood draw from the mother and a cheek swab from me. Sienna was about 7 weeks at that point, so we'd have to wait 1 more week. The hard part was getting Sienna to agree to it. I sent her one text. I will not discuss anything regarding this pregnancy or take any responsibility until we have a paternity test. I've consulted with a lawyer and can arrange for non-invasive testing. If you refuse, I'll assume the baby isn't mine and you won't hear from me again. The response was immediate and explosive. My phone started ringing within minutes. First Sienna, then Harper, then Leela, then Vivian, then Marissa. I didn't answer any of them, but the voicemails were unhinged. Sienna was sobbing, saying I was destroying our family, and how could I not trust her? Weird, I wonder why. Harper called me a piece of shit who was traumatizing a pregnant woman. Vivian left a 10-minute message about how I was putting an innocent baby through unnecessary stress, and that demanding a paternity test was basically admitting I never loved Sienna. But here's the thing, none of them said yes to the test. They just danced around the main issue, choosing to attack my personality instead, hoping it would somehow make me back down. I engaged with none of those messages, had to stick to my lawyer's advice, and I think that complete silence from me did scare Sienna. So after 2 days of hysteria, Sienna finally agreed, but only if I paid for it, fine by me, and promised to work things out if it came back positive about the baby. Sure. But about our relationship? Absolutely not. Last Tuesday we went to the lab. Sienna brought Marissa for moral support, and they both acted like I was personally victimizing them by being there. The technician was professional and explained the whole process. Blood draw for Sienna, cheek swab for me, results in 5 to 7 business days. Those were the longest 7 days of my life. The whole time, Sienna kept texting me things like, "I can't believe you're putting me through this stress. And what are you going to do when it proves you're the father?" Her family ramped up the pressure too, with Vivian sending me articles about how paternity tests can damage the father-child bond, and Marissa forwarding me Instagram posts about deadbeat dads. Honestly, if it weren't for waiting on the results, I would have blocked all of them already. Yesterday morning, Mr. Alvarez called with the results. 0% probability of paternity, not the father, not even close. I literally sat down in my office and laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the relief was so overwhelming I didn't know how else to react. Mr. Alvarez said the lab would send official copies to both of us, and that I should prepare for an explosive reaction from Sienna's side. He was right. Within an hour of getting her copy, my phone exploded again. But this time the tone was completely different. Sienna's first message was still trying to control the narrative. The test must be wrong. Labs make mistakes all the time. We need to do another one. When I didn't respond, the messages got more desperate. Even if there's a small chance it's not yours, couldn't you still help me? We were together for 2 years. Doesn't that mean anything? Then came the anger. You're really going to abandon me because of some stupid test. I made one mistake and you're going to ruin my life over it. One mistake. 3 freaking guys in 1 week is one mistake. But the most revealing message came last night. Fine, you win. I hope you're happy. But don't expect me to just disappear. You broke up with me, remember. You're the one who ruined everything. Even now, with scientific proof that she cheated and the baby isn't mine, she's still trying to make this my fault. Her family's reaction has been just as delusional. Vivian called me this morning saying that mistakes happen, and I should consider stepping up anyway because the baby needs a father figure. She actually suggested that I could just pretend the test never happened for the sake of the child. Are these people insane? They seriously want me to raise another man's child while pretending it's mine. I forwarded all of this to Mr. Alvarez, and he's helping me document everything in case they try to harass me further or make false claims down the road. Today is the first day in weeks that I feel like I can breathe again. I'm not tied to my cheating ex-girlfriend. I'm not going to be an unwilling father to someone else's kid. I'm free to move on with my life. The best part, word is starting to get out about the real story somehow. I'm not sure how, but people are learning what actually happened in Cancun. Sienna's social media posts about being abandoned are starting to get comments from people who know what really happened. Justice feels good. Edit. Yes, I'm blocking all of them after this. Mr. Alvarez says to keep records of any future contact in case I need a restraining order, but otherwise to go full no contact. Final update. It's been 3 weeks since the paternity test confirmed what I already knew: the baby isn't mine. I thought this nightmare was over, but Sienna and her family have somehow managed to make it even more dramatic. First, the fallout from the truth getting out has been swift and brutal, and it didn't take long before everyone realized who had been spreading it. Apparently, Harper, who'd spent weeks publicly defending Sienna and calling me every name in the book, had been secretly telling our entire friend group what really happened in Cancun. The woman who sent me messages calling me heartless for abandoning a pregnant woman was the same one spreading gossip about that pregnant woman's cheating spree. Not just that Sienna cheated, but the details, how she bragged about it, how they planned to cover it up, how they all laughed about me being too trusting. The story spread fast. Within days, people were calling Harper out in the comments for being two-faced, defending Sienna publicly while spreading her secrets privately. Harper ended up deleting her social media accounts altogether, but the fallout for Sienna was far harsher. Her Instagram went from supportive comments to brutal ones. People calling her out for lying, for trying to manipulate me, for playing the victim while being the villain. She ended up deleting most of her posts and making her account private. Even worse for her, some mutual friends who'd been giving me the cold shoulder started reaching out to apologize. A few admitted they'd been questioning my character and were ashamed they'd believed her version without knowing the facts. Leela, apparently tired of being associated with this mess, went on Instagram and threw both Sienna and Harper under the bus. Her story was brutal. Some people need to take responsibility for their own choices instead of blaming others, and some people should mind their own business instead of feeding on someone else's drama. Everyone knew exactly who she meant. That's when things got really ugly. Sienna and Harper immediately turned on Leela, commenting on her post calling her a fake friend and a backstabbing bitch. Sienna wrote a whole paragraph about how Leela was just as involved and had encouraged everything that happened. Harper jumped in with her own drama post about how she was done with toxic people who can't handle the truth, and started airing out Leela's personal business from the trip. For 3 days, they went at each other's throats on social media, each one trying to prove they were the least terrible person in their little triangle of dysfunction. Mutual friends were commenting popcorn emojis, and "this is messy" reactions. Watching these three tear each other apart after weeks of them ganging up on me was honestly therapeutic. So much for their unbreakable friendship and girls supporting girls bullshit. Sienna family's reaction to all this has been something else. Vivian called me crying last week, not to apologize but to beg me to help fix this situation. She said Sienna is devastated and alone, and that even if the baby isn't mine, I should consider being the bigger person and helping out anyway. When I said absolutely not, she got angry and said I was destroying their family's reputation, and that I owed it to them to keep quiet about what happened. Keep quiet. After weeks of them harassing me, pressuring me, and trying to manipulate me into taking responsibility for someone else's kid, she wanted me to protect their reputation. I laughed and hung up. Marissa tried a different approach. She texted me saying that Sienna made mistakes but she's learned from them, and that I should give her one chance to explain everything. According to Marissa, Sienna has been having panic attacks and barely eating, and the stress is affecting the pregnancy. Part of me felt bad about that for about 5 seconds. Then I remembered hearing Sienna laugh about how I was too trusting, and how the night with resort guy was better than anything she'd had in months. Yesterday, Sienna herself made one last desperate attempt. She showed up at my apartment building. I have no idea how she got past the front door security and was waiting by my car when I got home from work. She looked terrible, like she hadn't slept in days. She started crying the moment she saw me, saying she needed just 5 minutes to explain everything. She said the Cancun thing was completely out of character, and she was drunk and making bad decisions. She claimed she regretted it the moment it happened but was too ashamed to tell me. Then came the part that really showed who she is. She said that if I hadn't overheard that conversation, she would have told me eventually. That she was planning to come clean but needed time to figure out how. She actually tried to argue that me finding out the way I did was unfair to both of us because it didn't give her the chance to explain the context. The context. As if there's some context that makes cheating with 3 different people okay. When I started walking away, she got desperate and said she'd do anything to fix this. She'd go to therapy, move to a different city, whatever I wanted. She said the baby might not be mine, but we could build a family anyway and I could be the father this child deserves. I finally spoke up and said, "Sienna, you cheated on me with multiple people, laughed about it with your friends, tried to trick me into raising someone else's kid, and had your family harass me for weeks. There is no coming back from that. Leave me alone." She tried to follow me into the building, but security stopped her. I haven't heard from her since. I'm done updating about this situation. I'm blocking everyone involved and moving on with my life. Thanks to everyone who supported me through this. Reddit helped me see clearly when I was being gaslit from all sides. Edit, for those asking about what happened to the actual father, according to mutual friends, you know who. Sienna tried contacting all 3 Cancun guys. One blocked her immediately, one said it wasn't his problem, and the third, Marcus, I think, told her to get a paternity test, but he wasn't interested in being involved either way. Looks like her chickens are coming home to roost. For those asking about legal action against her, Mr. Alvarez says there's not much point unless she continues to harass me. The paternity test results protect me legally, and any civil case would be more trouble than it's worth. Time to start the next chapter of my life, one without manipulative, cheating exes trying to baby trap me.